What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to a LA Dojo, New Japan LA Dojo prospect graduate. He is a Bloodsport Barnett, Josh Barnett Bloodsport competitor. He's actually returning this year for Bloodsport 9. He's the one, the only, the android, Alex Coughlin. What's
Thank
going
you
on,
very
Alex?
much. Hey, man, thanks for having me on. This is the second time. I remember coming on before Bloodsport many moons ago, and excited to talk about who I'm going to beat the shit out of next.
Yeah, absolutely. Which I mean, it's funny that you graduated from a New Japan dojo because it's a Japanese gentleman that you're going to be duking it out with.
Yeah, it's a guy I lived with for a couple years that that I trained with for a long time in Yuya, which just means that we know each other very well. So it's going to be very strategic in that way. But look at my history. We wrestled twice before. Once in the Young Lions Cup 2019, where I made him tap, and then again last year at Warrior Wrestling, where I pinned him. So I have all my bases covered. I ain't too worried about it, but I will not take him lightly. And
No,
I know
absolutely.
Yuya. Oh yeah.
No, 100%. But also,
Look at him. He's getting all the reps in now. He's everywhere. He was on the fucking Jericho cruise.
yeah,
He's just going.
Impact
Everyone
Wrestling.
loves him. Impact. It's the
Yeah,
hair. It's the beautiful hair. I bet they got to
right.
get that on their posters.
And that's the thing about it, right? It's just
Mhm.
like, yes, you guys have faced each other two times before, but you guys are both a wealth of experience base larger than you were the first two outings. And obviously the terms of conditions of Bloodsport, no ropes,
It's
right?
a very different environment. You're right. The last two times we were in a traditional ring, more or less. This time, no ropes, no pinfalls. Very different. But I will say he wrestled two blood sports, and I've done. This will be my sixth.
Mhm.
So as far as experience in the different setting of blood sport, then I think I have the upper hand there too.
There you go. I mean, experience, right?
Mm,
I mean, stay ready so you don't have to get ready, right? That's the adage.
always. Yep. That's how we operate at the LA dojo. But Yuya is also in the LA dojo, so he does the same thing. So we'll both be ready.
I know. This is. I mean, again. I mean, I every time I'm with Josh, I'm like, yeah, Bloodsport. I just want to talk Bloodsport. That's it. And like training with Antonio Inoki and Billy Robinson, and you guys. One of the things about being at the LA Dojo is you and Yuya both got to train with. I mean, a former UFC champion, like multiple time world champion in grappling alone.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, did you ever train with Yuya? Where Josh is at?
Actually, yes, a couple times. Again, I'd like to give a huge shout out and thank you to CMMA over in California, where Josh would operate out of, and all the other coaches like Chad and all the guys there. Every time they would allow us to come in and train with them, it was a great learning opportunity. Everybody was super cool and very helpful. And when I always come out of there very tired, but I feel like I advanced a noticeable amount with everybody. It's a great environment. Huge shout out to them. And yeah, training with Josh is a different beast. I mean, I trained with Katsuyori Shibata for years. Josh is a big, strong man who has a very different fighting style. So I am always happy to be under the learning tree of Josh as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, shout out to CMMA in Gardena, California. Chad George, Josh Barnett, and
Mhm.
actually Victor Henry is actually fighting this Saturday.
Victor, yeah, he's popping off. I'm super happy for him. Yeah, he's awesome. Another really cool dude, really helpful, and a monster, just an ass kicker.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's in his first fight with the UFC, which it should have came 3 years before it came, but it's
Hmm.
glad that it did. But I
Hmm.
mean, this is right off the bat. Joe Rogan is shouting him out just on the podcast, like arguably one of the biggest podcasts in the world.
Absolutely.
And it's for good reason.
Yeah, he's very talented. It's long overdue for Victor.
So what is that? I mean, not to give too much of the secret away, because they've got champions from literally 125-pound males and females, right, all the
Mhm.
way up into the heavyweights. Like no more evident than Josh Barnett, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, what's so special about that place at CMMA that you've been there?
It's, again, just the atmosphere, just the mentality of everybody training there. It's not just a hobby for anybody. Everybody there wants to win. They want to be champions, and they're all, they're all there for a reason. And being somebody at this level in a room full of people at this level, you gotta step up and you gotta try to learn and keep up with them. Got a long way to go, but getting in there in that different training, especially at a place like CMMA where they take everything so seriously, it's really helped my game. And again, we went there with Yuya once or twice, but again, I have him in more sessions over there. He's a good wrestler. He wrestled in college,
Yep.
Greco-Roman, but it's a different beast over there.
Different Reese. Yeah, absolutely. When you add that submission, arsenal, right? Where,
Hmm.
in collegiate wrestling, you don't necessarily get to implore. I
Hmm.
mean, it's almost frowned upon in some circles. It's a
Exactly.
different piece.
So he has his strengths for sure. Like, we would wrestle a lot in training, obviously, and he's very strong. But again, like you're saying, with the submissions, with the finishing, especially in blood sport where you're not pinning people, it's not about points, it's not about takedowns, it's about finishing. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And then for those who don't know, obviously in Bloodsport, as we kind of mentioned before, no ropes, absolutely no ropes. It's under the GCW collective, so you're going to see a lot of the same sponsorship on the mats, but it's a completely different beast. And
Hmm.
there's only two ways to win. I mean, knockouts and submissions. I mean, we saw Cal Jack in a previous incarnation of Bloodsport literally throw somebody against the wall
Yep,
for his knockout.
that was really cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there we
So
go.
anything goes, man. You have no idea what you're going to see.
100%.
Hmm.
Now, I mean, the journey that you've, because you competed in Bloodsport 8, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, the journey that you've been on from Bloodsport to Bloodsport, that's kind of amazing. So, I mean, what's been new from Bloodsport to Bloodsport?
From this past one to this one, last year was, April?
Right.
So just within that year, a lot of shit happened. Like, very soon after that, I tore my calf and had to take a few months off. And I was, supposed to go to Japan, and I had to cancel that. And it was a very, very upsetting period for me because it's been a long time since then that I've been to Japan. I was finally able to go back and start picking up some steam again for World Tag League, which was back in November. I was there for 5 weeks. I tagged with Gabriel Kidd, Iron Bulls, Mechanical Bulls. Can't even remember my own team name, but it was great to be back there. And man, I don't want it to be that long till I go back again. I know we're on the upswing, and I just want to throw more people over my head than just the Americans over here. I'm itching, man. But it's been quite a journey. But blood sport to blood sport, I had some peaks and valleys. I'm on the upswing now. I'm feeling strong again. I'm getting my momentum back, and I'm picking up a couple victories on my way. So I'm not feeling rusty at all. I'm not feeling winded at all. I'm back at 100%. And honestly, hopefully 2023 is going to be my year. Knock on wood, no injuries, and yeah, just taking over like I should have been the past couple of years.
No, I mean, you were on a upward trajectory, and it's crazy to see all of you, trainees at the LA dojo, right? Because I mean, yes, there have been previous incarnations of a New Japan LA dojo. One that comes to mind as kind of growing up in LA. There was the Santa Monica dojo,
Hmm.
back in the times of Inoki, and then when you look at the talent that came out of that one or two, what, years or 3 years, I think it
It
was.
was a very short
Very
time
short time.
span, which is weird thinking back on it because it's the OG dojo, it's the lineage. I like a lot of people trained out of there.
We got, yeah, Danielson, Samoa Joe, Rocky Romero,
Hmm.
my goodness, Chris Daniels. I mean, that's just Shinsuke Nakamura, just off the top of my head. And again, who's who of all the places that
Herb Dean,
Herb Dean, yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. A lot of people forget that, and they
Yeah, a
know.
lot of people were there. Yeah, I remember every time I see somebody like Ricky Reyes too. He's around for a
Hmm.
lot of the strong tapings. He'd be like, "Yeah, Boss Rutan came in one day, and I get to hear about Boss Rutan training." And then Ken Shamrock comes in another day, and that's always cool. It's amazing to hear like what happened in that dojo and how different it is from the modern dojo from what we did, but in some ways similar. It's just crazy. It's like alternate universe LA dojo. except we're not making money yet. So we'll get there. It's all in
Yeah.
the grind stage later. But let's fast forward a few years. We'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's, I mean, it's just crazy. Now, you did mention the World Tag League, and I don't want to, gloss over that. But my goodness, like, as a fan, you got, I mean, we're talking about like Hanson Brody, like, I mean, some of the biggest stars. I mean, both Gaijin and foreign homegrown Japanese talent, like, I mean, Hall of Famers that have basically went for that World Tag League tournament.
Yeah.
Does that come into play?
It was very cool. I was very excited to learn that I was going to be a part of it because, again, to me, it's the most prestigious tag tournament in professional wrestling. Like you said, it reads like a who's ever competed, and just being able to be there and rub horns consistently with not just one but two of some of the greatest wrestlers going today every night, and just get better and improve and show people what I've been working on. I haven't just been sitting on my ass the past 2.5 years since I haven't been in Japan, but finally get a chance to show with all those people just what we can do and just what the training at the LA Dojo has done and what we're capable of. And that alone was fantastic. I mean, we didn't win, unfortunately. Everybody goes in there, but with the intention to win, or else why would we be here in the first place?
Right.
But overall, it was a great experience. If we didn't lose, we learned.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, I mean, does that, obviously being from the LA Dojo, right? And we talked about the history of, the previous incarnations and even Shibata as a head trainer. There's a lot on it. But did you feel like you had to prove yourself against LA Dojo, American, working the shows here, representing New Japan is different than representing the LA Dojo in Japan?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's that like?
It's a strange dynamic because there's always been this disconnect between New Japan Strong and New Japan proper in Japan. And for a long time, I always felt like it was two separate companies. Like there's barely any connection. I wasn't over there. It felt so separated. So it was almost strange to go back. Like it felt so weird being in a different country doing the same thing, trying to wrestle as I have been. But it was great because like this is where we should be. In Japan, going over there kicking ass in front of those crowds, touring everywhere, being on all the big shows, and it was just a taste of things to come. And I'm hungry for more. But representing the LA Dojo, it was in some ways, I would say maybe nervous to be like, oh, people are expecting, oh, LA Dojo. I was like, these people haven't seen me in 2.5 years. There are no expectations. So I'm going to go in there and just focus on blowing everybody out of the water, to do whatever I can to make an impression. So it was less nerves, more ambition and determination to sort of seize the opportunity in that regard and really show what the LA Dojo and just me as an individual and me and Gabe as a tag team, the Mechanical Bulls, could do.
No, and it's amazing to see you guys just grow and flourish, and especially under the auspices of the World Tag League. But that injury, not to harp on, what was a strenuous, couple, I mean, a season in your life, but I mean, we've seen people come back stronger, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think, we can think about like Triple H, with the torn quads and everything like that. You could think about, I mean, most recently, with Cody Rhodes coming back from the torn pec, and look at the trajectory he's on.
Mm-hmm.
Were you kind of looking at those and going like, yeah, this lights a fire. Yeah, I thought I loved it before, but this, because I'm away from it, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
literally, I can't physically do what I used to. Did that light a fire more so than you would maybe if you maybe had been healthy?
There's been a few points where I've had to take some time off and where I feel like I've had to play catch up. And every time I've had to do that, it's been noticeable growth in my game because, like you're saying, and the off time, it's like, what can I do besides workout, besides training in the ring? It's fucking get creative and really focus on the smaller things that I wouldn't normally have the thought or the energy to think of before, and really get into the nitty gritty. So it forced me to be creative, forced me to work on things that I normally wouldn't look at. And in some ways, life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So you focus on other things like your promo game or this and that, or what you want to do psychology or whatever. You're just always thinking, always trying to grow. It's on my mind 24/7, especially, when I have all the downtime that an injury provides me. But yeah, every time I get injured, I come back stronger, like the sayings.
And stronger you did, and you came back with a new moniker, the Android, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which that it's cool to me as an Android user myself, and that's probably not why you went with the Android, but in my mind, you did that to piss Apple off. I hope you're not.
Here's
rocking.
my iPhone.
Oh,
I ain't living the gimmick, man. I'm too used to the interface. Fuck Steve Jobs. Fuck Apple. Same thing.
But
yeah,
where does
the phone?
Yeah, but where does the Android come from? What does that mean to you?
There were a few very important factors that led me into the Android, which one was the graduating class of the LA Dojo. In order, it was Carl, who became the Alpha Wolf, and then Clark, who became the Wild Rhino. So, the rule of threes, some people, they had the expectation set where Alex is going to be adjective animal. What kind of animal is he going to be? And that really bugged the shit out of me, because that's their ideas. They thought of them independently. And I went through the same fucking training and did it longer because they graduated before me. And I fucking stayed there and did all this shit. I get to pick my own gimmick. You don't get to say I'm an animal. And you make your own fucking gimmick. You train with Shibata for 4 years and drive him around. Then you could be whatever animal you want. It's my idea, my gimmick. But it's just similar to where, the injuries. I've had to take time off before. And every time I come back, I get stronger. I am not, it's just a very close, it was a passion project of mine. I thought about it while I was injured. I had which I can't even remember what I was hurt that time. I just had COVID. I had to cancel another tour to Japan. And I was really upset at that time, which is when I focused a lot of creative energy into the idea initially. But, I was programmed in the LA Dojo. I'm stronger than I look, and I look pretty strong to begin with. And, you try to beat me down, I come back like the Terminator. You're going to have to crush me to kill me. I'm not a man. I'm an android. You look at me, I look like a man. But what am I really made of? I'm much more.
Ah, man, I love it. Which funny that you say that, because I've just been messing around with ChatGPT. You know of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I did the I threw like, give me 10 generic NXT nicknames. Right.
Yeah, right.
I got the idea from Steve Kaufman, who runs like the Ric Flair show and Click List and stuff like that. And one of them actually came pretty close to old Carl's actual name.
Really?
NXT. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Eddie
So
Thorpe.
so it's
That's
not
funny.
it's not off. It's not
Yeah.
off. So I think you might have got the start of a wave, right? With all the chat bots and everything, and you're the Android, and I don't know. There's just some cohesion that I see there.
It's
Even beyond
serendipity,
that.
man. It's all
Yeah.
synchronicity, whatever big S word it's supposed to be. One of those two.
Yeah, one's a
Hopefully
police
song.
album, one's a
Yeah,
Death
exactly.
and Sale, yeah, movie.
So
with John
synchronicity or
Cusack.
synchronicity 2? What word am I thinking of?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, either fits. I feel like both of
They
them
both
fit.
do.
But I mean, speaking of Carl, man, like NXT. Did you guys kind of foresee that? Like, obviously, you guys, once you graduate the dojo, you go your ways. I don't know if it's expected, but at least the optics of us on the outside looking in, you stick with New Japan and do that. We see Jay White, Dave Finlay as two like most recent examples of it, and especially being Gaijin talent. Was that kind of like not the parkours?
Like you said, a lot of people who basically go through the trouble of going through the system at the point of spending all the time to graduate from the dojo, they typically stick with it. But Carl had his reasons, of course, and we're still very close. We'll talk all the time, but he's just over in Florida doing his thing now, and it's not. But you got to do what makes you happy, and as long as he's happy, I support whatever he does 100%. wherever he goes, whatever he does, wrestling or not. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned that before. The thing with Eddie Thorpe, he got the name because Eddie, that's his middle name,
Mhm.
Carl Edward Fredericks, and Thorpe is I'd say his favorite athlete. I want to make sure I get the details right. It's from
Jim Thorpe.
Yep, Jim Thorpe,
Yeah.
Olympic gold medalist,
Hmm.
Native American icon, inspiration,
Yes.
hero. So that's where that one came from. I saw like people talking shit, but no, it's a good name.
It's
Carl's cool.
great, No,
Yeah.
especially knowing the backstory behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jim Thorpe is like a legend. I mean, like he was winning races, right? Like a lot of people had, spent money. This is like turn of the century, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he was wearing like the bare necessities and just smoked them
Like he
all.
found shoes and just
Yeah,
ran in them. That's fucking sick. Yeah.
yeah. So Eddie Thorpe, I mean, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more in love with it than I thought I would be, knowing that. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying, yeah. But no, I think that's amazing, and I guess going through a dojo system, right, and then going into kind of NXT again. I mean, it kind of fits that you already know, and a lot of people, maybe outside of the business that kind of go into that sort of confines, and I don't even say it's confines because look, get the proof in the pudding, but like going to NXT and what have you, sometimes it can break them. But like you guys had gone through New Japan, which one would argue, look at, I mean, my goodness, Matt Bloom, New Japan, great, right? Running the whole thing, right? So it's kind of like a glove. It kind of fits.
Yeah, and from what he's saying, he's just enjoying his time there. He's having a good time. He's doing his best to adjust. It's a different style of wrestling, but from
Right.
what I've seen, he's had a couple of matches. It doesn't seem like he's, compromising. It's still Carl.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy. Onward and upward. I'm very excited for what he's going to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, going back to Bloodsport 9, like you and Yuya, man, like
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys training together. And, and this is, I mean, you guys were on a Bloodsport Heart together, but not against each other. And now
Mm-hmm.
it's just like again, serendipitous,
Mm-hmm.
right? It just kind of feels right. And, with both of your guys' backgrounds, and what you guys have been through over the last several years, I think this, kind of, pardon the pun, arena suits you guys both. I'm excited for everybody that comes to watch Bloodsport on the 30th, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and you can catch it live on Fight TV. Just saying, but I'm excited. I'm super excited for it. Not just because I love the hybrids that I mean, to me, pro wrestling is a combat sport in the instance of Muay Thai, Jiu Jitsu, and everything like that. Because I mean, literally, what you call Jiu Jitsu 100 years ago was catch wrestling. So we're right there, and you guys are, I mean, the principle of it,
Mm-hmm.
and
You just look at the family tree of combat sports. We're all
yeah,
very closely
absolutely.
related on the same branch. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, again, that you're doing it for Josh Barnett,
Mm-hmm.
who again, a lot of his accolades, kind of get swept under the rug. But I mean, former IWGP champion, like
Mm-hmm.
that's
It's
it,
really cool. Also, I was his first match back in New Japan on the cerulean mat in like 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
He came back to wrestle me, and that was one of my favorite matches.
Which I was lucky enough to be there at Riverside
That's
Municipal
right.
Auditorium,
It
right?
was in Riverside.
And geez, first off, I mean that arena, like that theater is just so historic. Yeah, downtown Riverside. I mean, I don't think it gets a lot of credit for all the architecture that is, but to have that, right? Josh's first match back in 17 years, somebody that who's had a hand in training you,
Mm-hmm.
all right,
Absolutely.
and you're basically going toe to toe with him. What was that like?
I went in there again. You'd think I would have been nervous, but I was like, "Nah, this is the test. This is just everything I know. Let's see how good I am. Let's see how much I practiced." I emptied my mind and then just let instincts take over. And I didn't win, but I went 12, 13 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But, former IWGP heavyweight champion, former UFC heavyweight champion.
Meta
Yeah.
Morris grappling champion. My goodness.
Yeah. Star of several metal music videos, including but not limited to Amon Amarth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Well,
others
I
in
mean,
there, I don't remember what they are, but there were a lot of them.
yeah. No disrespect to you, but I was kind of shitting bricks for you, and man, you fucking came through. I mean, that's literally a firefight, and you came through. I mean, maybe eager bros, but there. I mean, broken bones could have happened, knockouts and concussions could happen. You
He's
came out
fucked dudes
pretty well.
up. I'm
Yes.
lucky I did not get as fucked up as those dudes.
Hmm.
So I must have been doing something right in my training to have survived that long with him.
Hmm. Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people, obviously, when you're looking at the previous incarnations of Bloodsport, right? Most
Mhm.
people don't have going into six runs, right? And so, what do you think that you're doing right by basically getting the praise of the War Master?
The thing is, I don't know. I just keep doing what I'm doing, and I don't want to change it at all because it seems to be working. So just what I have been doing naturally, I don't want to touch it. Don't want to change my routine. Don't want to change my way of thought, my philosophy, because it's been getting me further and further. I have a good work ethic. I'm on top of my training. I always take this shit seriously, and it doesn't take much more than that. And sometimes it feels strange. It's like just showing up is 90% of the work, and it seems like it's much more than that. But just going there and doing it to the best of your ability is all it takes sometimes. And it's hard to remember that sometimes, but you get through training, you just show up and keep doing what you're doing, and you will get results. And that's what I live by, and I don't want to change that anytime soon because again, it's been working.
Yeah, it's working. It's definitely working. So,
Mhm.
man, more power to you. Now, obviously, this is happening during Mania weekend, right? Bloodsport 9. Well, there's a lot of things that's going on that week in LA. I think it starts like the Tuesday before Mania, and I mean, it's not until the Tuesday after Mania that everything kind of just settles down and returns to normal. So,
Yeah, it's
uh,
like a full week, 9 days or so. It's a whole thing. Yeah.
mhm. Are there anything else that you're kind of looking forward to? And I guess I'll ask that next. But I mean, in terms of the week, anything that you're looking forward to aside from your matches and the things that you're involved in?
Later on the 30th, the same day as Bloodsport, there will be the New Japan Impact Wrestling crossover show, which is very exciting. I think I'm one of the only LA Dojo guys not booked on the show, but everybody else will be, so that'll be cool. Well, I know there's going to be a fantastic six-man X Division match with Clark and Rocky and with Kevin, so that's going to be one to fucking watch out for. So keep your eyes out for that. And anything Yugi is on, and he's on every show. So if you keep
Yeah,
flipping through shows, you'll eventually see him. So keep an eye out for him after Bloodsport. Well, during Bloodsport too, definitely watch our shit. It's gonna be
yeah.
sick. But yeah, man, I mean WrestleMania weekend, everything's gonna be cool. I'm very excited. Always fun, especially in my home away from home, Los Angeles. So I know that place, kinda.
No, but I love it. I love it. Which I mean, I guess. I mean, as a student of the game, are you watching anything else? Kind of taking bits and pieces, or just sitting back and enjoying as a fan?
I mean, I can't watch anything wrestling related without subconsciously taking mental notes or trying to analyze it and be like, oh, I could steal that. I could do that. Shit like that. Or whatever inspiration happens. Sometimes you see something, you're like, well, what if I do it this way instead? And then you remember after a few months of making a note to do it, you finally try it out. And you're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. And then you figure out something from there. I actually just spent the last couple of days training with a couple of friends down at NYWC in Deer Park, and I worked on some real cool shit. I'm very excited to show up and show out the rest of the month. Which this Saturday I'm going to be in Ironheart Pro Wrestling in Wisconsin, which is going to be very fun. Then the 26th of this month, I will be wrestling in Worcester, Massachusetts for Beyond Wrestling at the White Eagle. And then the 30th, of course, I'll be at the Ukrainian Culture Center in LA for Bloodsport. Then we got a couple New Japan shows coming up in April. The 15th will be in Washington, D.C., 16th, Philly. Show up and show out for Philly because I fucking love that place. The ECW Arena. That's the East Coast venue we come to. It's the closest to New York, so I call it the hometown crowd. I don't know why they won't do New York, but I hope someday they do. But yeah, those are all my plugs. I'm good for now.
Oh man, I love it. I absolutely love it. Obviously, Mania. We can't talk about like the wrestling year without talking about either the Roman Reigns Bloodline storyline or obviously Cody's return. I mean, what is your take on it?
I mean, I've everything from what I've been seeing with the Bloodline story. Everybody's saying it's just the best thing going on in wrestling. And, you have some of the best wrestlers going today involved in it. So whatever they do is going to be gold. Roman Reigns, amazing. Sami Zayn, amazing. The Usos, amazing. Oh, whatever, whoever else is involved in that storyline. I'm not one of those, not to be one of those guys, but I don't really keep up with the WWE storylines too closely. Besides watching Carl stuff, Eddie. Um, yeah, I've been seeing stuff, and it's always really cool. And the past year of Sammy being hilarious, seeing clips. Yeah, so all that stuff is going to be very exciting. And as a fan, I would like to see more of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I might know this gentleman named Eric Bischoff, creator of the NWO, former president of WCW.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that guy. Yeah.
yeah, that guy. He says that the Bloodline storyline is better than the NWO. I'm not saying like you agree or
Oh.
disagree, but I mean, what's your take on that?
It's cool. Eric Bischoff himself, if he says that, that's a really cool stamp on what's going on today, and that's really awesome. But personally, I saw NWO like after the fact when it was already done. I wasn't a big WCW kid. I
Ah.
watched WWF growing up, but then Japanese stuff not too long after. But like historically, I knew how cool the NWO was. Like the outsiders coming in, trashing this, Hogan heel turn. A lot of cool shit happened. The fan jumping in the ring and Scott Hall stomping on his head at Bash at the Beach. Really cool stuff. But they have a long time of legacy where they have so many great moments. And if they can keep this bloodline thing going and pump it full of life and try like they did with the NWO, even you know for as many uh, facets and variations there were there, then I feel like it could have as much historical significance. Maybe not so much crossover wise, because at that point it was a big deal. These people jump ship to this company, and nowadays it's not a big deal anymore.
Mhm.
But as far as quality content as a wrestling fan watching, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about that crossover appeal. Like the moment that you remember when the NWO was going at its kind of strongest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even in Austin in the WWF, right? You saw everybody, either doing DX, cross chops, or
Mm-hmm.
you would just walk around to the supermarket and see some sort of wrestling apparel,
Oh
right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now we've got more wrestling than we could ever shake or stick at. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for the price of lunch for a kid today, you can get the WWE Network, right? But
True.
Peacock, right?
Peacock, yeah.
Right. But the thing about it is, like, I'm not seeing the Sammy or the Bloodline merchandise just walking the street in a non wrestling sphere, and to me,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm all like. Yeah, and of course the times are different, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
so much content that you could consume, like
Mm-hmm.
hours and hours on end of something that you don't necessarily know anything about, but you could go down a wormhole and you're
Mm-hmm.
in. But I think I don't know the NWO, and I hate to just think
It was
about it.
Americana at that
Yeah,
point.
100%.
That's one of the things you talk about, like 1997, 1998. It was like important. If you did like a 1 minute bunch of like little clip shows summing up
Mhm.
that year, you would have to show the NWO in some capacity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at on the thing. But I mean, I'm glad that everybody is just kind of falling in love with wrestling again because we need that.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we have a great culture that supports the arts and combat sports is an art. I think us all we're going to be better for it.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine it'll ever be back to the how popular it was back in the mid to late '90s, just because how different we are already as a society. But shit changes. But it seems like we are slowly getting there. It's creeping up more and more and more, and we're in a really good period right now. Like the from the ashes of the UK scene, people are
Mm.
coming up and saying they're rebuilding, and there's some phenomenal people over there. People are really stepping up over here too in the post-pandemic. Japan's getting fucking kickstarted too, and it's been good for a few years, and I feel like now it's gonna get fucking red hot. So it's cool seeing that it's already good, and it's getting better and better. So I hope we can continue this trend.
No, 100%. And I love that you mentioned the UK scene because, like,
Hmm.
this is something that you got to see firsthand. And in my, estimation, man, I would be reading those, the aftermags, right? The Pro Wrestling Illustrated and, the Wrestler and everything like that. And hearing about guys like, uh, Hammerlock UK, right? Some of the promotions or Jody Fleisch and stuff like that. And, after the World of Sport kind of thing kind of fizzled out in the early 80s, right? With Big Daddy and everything like that, they had to rebuild, right? And then
Hmm.
in the like early to mid 2000s, they had to rebuild. And then now in the mid 2010s, they had to rebuild. And then obviously WWE was there and then they pulled out. But you've got obviously Zack Sabre Jr., you've got, a Will Ospreay, like those things. So in your estimation, like what did you feel? Was it everything that you kind of imagined it would be going over there and wrestling in front of that British wrestling crowd?
Yes, absolutely. It was. It was really cool because I was there It was technically my third trip over there wrestling with Rev Pro. The first time was one dark match. The second time was three matches over a couple days where I tagged with Carl actually. And then this last time I was over there for 5 weeks. So it was an extended stay. It was, quote unquote, an excursion, a diet excursion. But it was very cool. And, this was again pandemic era. People are starting to get into the swing of things, and people are, there are a lot of spots open now because a lot of guys were gone from the scene, and people were trying to step up. So they were super hungry guys, and they really really always put their best into showing out. I wrestled both the Aussie Open guys, Dunkzilla Davis and Kyle Fletcher in singles matches. Huge shout out to those guys. Always pushed me and made me feel like a better wrestler after every time I touched them in tags or singles anywhere. Great, great guys. Can't wait to kick their asses again. It will happen again. Um, yeah, Luke Jacobs would love to wrestle him again. All these guys I would love to wrestle. I haven't got a chance to, but Dan Maloney, Connor Mills, all these guys there, and it's just a fantastic scene. And it's flourishing right now. And in a couple years, you're going to see a lot of very, very established guys being at the point where they should be now, basically where they deserve to be now, I should say. And they're rebuilding, and it's going to be fantastic. I love the UK scene now. It's really cool to see how it's going.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, speaking of rebuilding, in my head, you mentioned the guy, kind of charging the ring with the NWO and Hall stomping a mud hole in him, right?
It
In
was
my head,
cool, very
he had
cool.
like skull reconstructive surgery, right?
Hmm.
Like Scott Hall just fucked him up, R.I.P. Scott
He's
Hall,
a big dude.
right?
Big. That's a big shoe coming down your head, man. That's like the Monty Python thing, but
Yes,
in real life.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
So, have you had any weird interactions that you've either been in or seen, maybe from behind the curtain?
Thankfully, well, the weirdest thing, the closest thing, I guess, to that effect would be the Ring of Honor New Japan crossover show. I think it was Super Part of Honor. I can't remember. It was at Madison Square Garden,
Mhm.
and we were out there. We were, seconding. We were all young lions. We were all out there against the ring by the guardrails for all the New Japan matches. And there was a big four-way tag title match with Sonata Naito, Sonata Evil, excuse me, God, uh, PCO, and whoever his partner was. I can't really remember. But there was the spot where PCO got power bombed from the middle of the ring out to the floor, and it was
Mhm.
insane. And then Enzo and Cass jumped the rails, and like we didn't know that was going to happen. So we're like, what the fuck do we do? Do we get in the ring? Blah, blah, blah. It was very confusing. So that was the closest to a weird thing I've seen, and that was pretty strange.
The fact that you're a New York guy, Enzo Cass, like
It was
Madison Square
cool to
Garden,
be
yeah,
out
I'm
there.
just
Yeah,
saying, like,
honestly, it was pretty cool, pretty sick.
if that's gonna be
Afterwards,
your one, that's
yeah,
pretty fucking good.
yeah. Hopefully, I want to run out of the garden again and do another big show and hopefully wrestle. It'd be sick. I'd love to wrestle the garden as a New York guy, just in general. But
Yeah.
that'd be a very cool feather in the cap.
No, we're putting that into the atmosphere there. I
Yeah.
mean, we're doing it, and it all starts at Josh Barnett's what's what 9 your campaigns of the garden. Like really, I mean, that's going to be like
That's what this year is called, the Campaign to the Garden. That's the whole tour leading up to 2024.
That needs to be a shirt, good sir.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, aside from wrestling, like what is kind of getting the juices flowing? Like, is there anything you're watching? Anything that you're, listening to that are, I mean, literally powering the Android?
Um, I guess everything I do in some way powers the Android. It's all fuel. Like this. I drink exorbitant amounts of coffee, too much coffee, which means I have to drink way too much water to make up for it
Right?
because coffee's a diuretic and you have to stay hydrated. That's important too.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, between working out, stretching, trying to keep my mobility up, making sure my calf is okay, keeping pretty busy. I listen to, well, I'd say mostly metal. I play drums. I have an electronic drum kit here. One day I'll get the acoustic one back. But it's always fun to jam out to whatever I can do with the single pedal right now, which is not a lot of metal, but a little bit of Slayer, which is cool. But I've been playing drums for a long time, so that's always a good creative outlet and a good workout too. And yeah, besides that, just hanging out, enjoying being back in New York, seeing the family, seeing my friends, getting pizza. The Chinese food's great in New York too. Never had good Chinese food in LA. It's amazing that delis aren't a thing everywhere. I always thought that was a thing because if I want to get a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, that should be available to me 24/7. Crazy that it's not other parts of the country. Barely any diners. They're only like chain diners, like IHOP and Norm's and shit, which is better than nothing. But like no regular diners. Very strange. So I just like being back on the East Coast, however cold it might be. But every now and then I like looking at the snow. As long as I don't have to shovel it, I like the snow, and that's been the case so far. Thankfully, knock on wood on that too.
Yeah.
That mid to late March snowfall we always get on the East Coast.
I'm not crazy about 50 degrees. That's what it says.
That's sweater weather for you, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that's it. But
for me too, I'm still used to the LA climate. I did not acclimate to New York at all. I'm freezing constantly. It sucks. Eventually, I'll get used to it, but right now, I'm still in LA mode. My metabolism did not get the memo.
What's the weather like now?
Cold. All the trees have no leaves on them. They're dead because of the cold. There's a wind. It makes me not want to go outside. But soon, daylight savings is going to jump forward. So we lose the hour of sleep. But it'll be light out longer, which helps with that too. So it might help me want to go outside earlier in the day. But hopefully we get rid of daylight savings too. I hear that's going on. So that sucks. So let's get rid of it. Arizona doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Let's be like Arizona, which is the only time I'll ever say that sentence.
Or Indiana. You're going to.
Oh, Indiana.
Yeah. South Bend, actually.
South
Bend, right by Notre Dame University.
I get that confuses the fuck out of a lot of pilots.
Oh, hell yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, hell yes, it does. But I mean, pilots have another source of, powering up. But
I guess.
Yeah. I'm just
computers help with that.
Yeah. The fact that it's cold, do you do anything more? Do you spend more time stretching? Does it take, you're a vascular guy. So, is there any other concessions that you have to make, in terms of your training regimen?
Not in particular. I like the bare bones home gym setup, which is what I grew up doing. I've been working out since I was like 12 or 13. We always had weights in the garage that my dad had when he was growing up. He just never got rid of them. So I would always do shitty home late night garage workouts. So it's very fun for me to start getting a nice little shoulder workout in at 10 p.m. while watching Netflix just downstairs. I always like that. But I also have a gym membership where I get my real actual workouts in. I don't have a barbell or anything at the house yet, but I could do enough, which is enough excuse for me not to go outside and just get a workout in the garage. But that's more or less what I'm doing, just working out at my home and making the workouts take a lot longer because I can take a lot more breaks because I'm at my house.
Hell yeah. Fuck yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. It's
a good system.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yeah, it's I think it was like Mark Merrow, all right? Like a former Johnny B. Bad who had like a super slow workout where he just like the craziest rep that you could do, but you just fucking control it. And that's what he called like super
just a different way of working the muscle. If it works, it works. I one time bought something off this. It might have been who cares where it was? It was a pro wrestling website. With the package, I got my thing whenever I got, and I also got a couple extra goodies. and for some reason I had a Johnny B. Bad trading card, vintage WCW, whatever, extra stock, and it had a nightside table like right next to my bed, and there was like these IKEA wireframe drawers that I had, so they were see through. And I guess I forgot that I had the card, and it fell through and landed in one of the drawers. And they're see-through drawers. So one day I'm sleeping, there's a little bit of light, and I look down and I see Johnny B. Bad's fucking face from that trading card looking up at me. And I freaked out for a second. I got rid of that thing immediately. Terrifying.
The eyebrows done.
And with the fucking
with
all
the fucking
sleek
confetti gimmick.
Mm-hmm. It was a thing.
Yeah,
He's very sweaty in that picture.
I love Johnny B. Bad as a kid.
Great, fantastic.
Yeah,
I like Johnny
great,
B.
but
Bad.
yeah, I could
great
see
name
where that,
too. I like Johnny B. Bad.
Yeah, 100%. Isn't that? Yeah. I feel like that's a Dusty thing, right? Dusty Rhodes, like that feels like Johnny B. Bad, Johnny B. Good. That's what we
Something
do,
like
baby.
that.
Like that just feels like Dusty. Even if it's not, I'm gonna just
it's fun to think of it that way. Either way, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah. Oh, did you have who are your guys growing up? Like the guys that made you want to maybe pursue this?
Well, just like everybody else between the ages 20 and 40, Eddie Guerrero was always a huge favorite of mine. I love watching that guy. Talk about a guy that could do anything. Anything you asked him. He can do it at the fucking... It's like you use cheat codes to max out every stat in the Tony Hawk Pro Skater game.
Yes.
Get all the skill points, so everything's 10. Somehow he did it. He was a 10 in everything. Mm-hmm. So he's a guy that I think everybody looks up to. Look how many fucking people do the Three Amigos and the kilo from the apron to the inside on the down guy.
Yeah.
And everybody loves that guy. Nick Foley was a huge favorite of mine growing up. And that was before I knew he was a fellow Long Islander. That was just the cherry on top afterwards. Love that guy. Talk about fighting spirit. He was the underdog. He was the guy that I always wanted to root for. And always big. I have his autograph. My friend's mom got it for me for my 9th birthday. And it was his second book. Foley is good. And it said, "Happy 9th birthday, Alex," which was a very nice message. And just Scotty Too Hottie was probably my third. And with 4 heads of the Mount Rushmore of me growing up, Scotty Too Hottie was definitely number 3. At least number 3. I got to meet him the first time I ever took a picture with somebody I shared a locker room with. It was with him. It was last year's WrestleMania season in Dallas, and they were running a bunch of shows out of this hotel. And our show was ending, his show was starting. I was like, "I'm sorry to bother you. I'm just a huge fan. Can I please take a picture?" That's the only mark picture I ever took in the locker room. Not that there's anything wrong with taking pictures. I just never do it, and I should do it more, as everybody else should. Yeah. Preserve these memories; they're good things. Mm-hmm. But I was always a huge Scotty Too Hottie fan. The first move I ever learned at home watching wrestling was the worm. Can still do the worm. I can do a sick worm. And 4, there are a lot of people that I really liked growing up. 4th is I love the Michinoku driver. So I probably like Taka Michinoku a lot too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. As a kid, I loved the theme song. I watched him every time he was on. Just as a kid, I just couldn't get enough of those guys. Just all 4 of them.
Like he was the king of Shotgun Saturday Night and Jack, those.
Yeah, he always
1 a.m.
had just
shows.
a great fucking time, great theme song, sick move, good fire. I love the fucking taunt he would do to go for it. So cool.
Dude, we've seen people hit Michinoku drivers, but it's weird. The way that Taka's ass hits simultaneously as the back of his opponent, it's great. It's amazing.
He's a master. Michinoku driver. It's actually Michinoku driver number 2, but it's been adapted as the Michinoku driver because that's the one everybody thinks of when they hear Michinoku driver. Right. But yeah, he's the master of it, man. Nobody does it better. Cedric Alexander does an amazing Michinoku driver number 2 also. Yeah. But you got to give it to the OG.
Yeah, 100%. For me, as a kid, WrestleMania 10 was my favorite. It's hearts all the way up and down the fucking card, and Brett and Owen, those are my dudes, right? So Do you have either a favorite WrestleMania or a favorite match that, as a kid, you would go back to and just run out the fucking VHS?
Oh man, there's a few, but one that sticks out to me just for the crowd and being like, man, this is fucking pro wrestling. It's WrestleMania 18 in Toronto, where it was The Rock and Hogan. Just
Yeah.
that's pro. Just two dudes where people are just invested in who they are and what the fucking story is and what each thing represents. They are so invested in them as people. That's just electric.
No, 100%. I mean, and the fact that like it wasn't booked the way that it actually went.
Yeah, the whole story where like Rock turned he started working a little bit more heel, so Hogan needed the cheers. But man, when he hulks up and say what you want about him as a person, racist asshole. But man, as a wrestler, he had the people in the palm of his hands. I never heard a crowd like that when he hulked up in the fucking Toronto Dome. Is that what it's called?
I think it was the Sky Dome.
Sky Dome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever.
Which I mean, my goodness, I feel like shit, man. Like the fact that those were two fucking generals just fucking listening to the crowd.
They represented they were the pinnacle of their respective generations. You can't get two bigger superstars ever. John Cena is a close. He's like right there too. But like any combination of those three, like Rock and Hogan at that time though. That because they could both go and they both look fucking great. They're both at the fucking pinnacles of their wrestling career. It's a once in a lifetime thing.
No, 100%. Which speaking of, I mean, this is a great time for this comment, but the good brother, Rain and Bozio. Speaking of two awesome dudes, y'all are awesome. This podcast is his Hogan Rock.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, yeah, good brother. Thank you very much, Alan.
Yeah.
Rain, what's up, dude? Hey.
Yeah. What's going on? Which he'll be at Bloodsport for.
Yes, he will.
Sure. Yeah. Just that's a fucking good brother amongst good brothers. That one there. Mm-hmm. Fuck yeah. They don't make them like Rainin.
Everybody loves Rainin.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
Yeah, I'm on the East Coast now. I'm in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck yes. Favorite match? I mean, obviously, this is going to change as your career grows, but as of right now, March 10th, 2023, what is your most favorite match that you've been in?
That I've been in? Bloodsport 7 against Tom Lawlor at the Ukrainian Culture Center. I also liked me versus Royce Isaacs at Bloodsport 5. That's the one with no crowd. Both I really, really enjoyed. I mean, I liked all the Bloodsport matches. I've had a lot of great matches. Again, I really enjoyed the match that I had with Josh Barnett in Riverside. My last Young Lions match against Kratos. Anytime I wrestled someone from the LA Dojo, Clark, when we did the LA Dojo special, number 2.
Right.
Tons of, everybody's great. But as far as personally sticking out in my mind, Bloodsport 7 with Tom.
Yeah, that's a fucking. I think that stands up. I think that fits.
I would love for there to be like a Bloodsport compilation, like have just the highlights, just like 1 or 2 matches from every fucking show. That'd be cool, and I think that would be a good one to have from Bloodsport 7. Absolutely. But I'm proud of that match. That was a cool one.
That was, and Raiden says, everybody loves Raiden. Coming to NBC this fall.
Hell yeah. I'd watch 100%. It. Regularly scheduled programming.
Yes, 100%. Not a mid-season replacement. Not at all. And Spirit Circle Podcast says, hi, I was today years old to know that Alex is from NYC.
Actually, Long Island, technically. Close to New York City, but the place that's not as cool as the city when you think of Long Island. New York in general. But close.
Close.
Babylon Station's an hour train right into Penn Station, right in Manhattan.
Yeah. So hour. I mean, that's literally like going 2.5 miles in LA.
Honestly, gridlock traffic for sure.
So it's close to me.
Lee, going into LA, I always heard about LA traffic's the worst, and it's like I grew up in Long Island. I've driven through Queens and Manhattan with a minivan. Like, how bad could LA be? LA traffic was the fucking worst. Nothing could prepare you. So bad.
Wait until you get to that booking in Mumbai. I was complaining about LA traffic one day, and this guy just like, back in my country, like looking out the door, I'm going to be out in 5 minutes, and there's nobody on the road. And then fucking gets down from his office building, and there's like fucking 10,000 vehicles, jeepneys, fucking cars, bikes, people walking, and I was like, I don't feel so bad.
Yeah, that kind of puts it in perspective. That helps a little bit. And
Yeah.
seeing all those the Russian dash cam videos where people just throw axes at each other.
Yeah.
America's not traffic
That-
wise as bad as some other places.
Right. Exactly.
But as far as I've dealt with, LA's the fucking worst.
LA's is the fucking worst. Yeah.
Worst.
But again, I mean, wait until that what is it, Great Power Uti in Africa or
Oh my god,
somebody in Mumbai gets that
Jesus.
booking, bro. That financial investor.
Hey, if they pay me, I don't give a shit. Just get me
Fuck
there and
yes.
back. I'm fine. You bring a merch. I'm cool with it.
There you go.
Just
And
close my
funniest-
eyes. Put me in the car.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck it. Right on. Funniest moment of the mirror match. Mirror match? Ring a bell?
Oh, it might have been Bloodsport 7 because Tom came out dressed as me,
Oh, yes.
which was, by the way, a complete and total surprise because the entire time beforehand I would see him and he was wearing his Daisy Dukes and had a face mask on the whole time. I was like, oh, that's really nice of him, being very COVID conscious up until the bell, but he was hiding that he shaved a mustache. And he immediately took off his Daisy Dukes as soon as I entered first and had black trunks on underneath it.
Yes.
I was like, this motherfucker.
Yes.
Yes,
100%.
man.
Yeah. And I was there for most of those matches, all bangers, said Raiden. And my goodness, have you ever seen that clip of Tom when he was in the UFC and he fucking cosplayed for weigh-ins as Dan Severn?
Yes.
That's, to me, I was like, fucking Tom Lawlor is
He's the
amazing.
best. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you ever see the clip of Tom Lawlor where he just punches the guy in the fuck you face in the Ultimate Fighter where they're all in the house and the dude's really drunk. He's like, oh, you can't knock me out. No one could knock me out. He's like, you punch me, you won't knock me out. And Tom's, okay, dude, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Boom. And clocked him. Fucking.
Yeah. That's it. I mean,
what do you expect?
Tom Lawlor in essence. And I mean, fucking, Las Vegas native, like, grew up there, family from there, and shit
The
like
filthy
that.
man from Sin City himself. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's it.
He's
Just
an individual.
like Burt Kreischer is Florida, and I feel like Tom Lawlor is Vegas.
If there is somebody that embodies
Mm-hmm.
where they're from, yeah. If you look at Tom Lawlor, you see what he does, his entrance, you're like, it looks like Vegas.
That's Vegas.
That's from the Strip.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah, poor grammar, funniest moment of that mirror match. Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
But we got you. We got there. But speaking of getting there, obviously, to get to Bloodsport Night, you have had a throng of people who have supported you. Let's get some shout outs out of the way. You take as long as tonight. I'm going to put you full screen, good sir.
Ooh, all right. As far as shout outs, always to the LA Dojo homies, starting with Eddie Thorpe, now in NXT. Check him out. There's Clark, the Wild Rhino, Gabriel, the Young Bull, Mechanical Bulls. We're going to kick ass soon, don't you worry. Everybody, DK, Kevin, also known as Jet, the Jet, DKC, I should say, not just DK. That's disrespectful, the DKC. Yuya, Narita, everybody holding it down in America and Japan. As far as wrestlers go, I'm going to keep it short because this is going to be a whole rambly thing. But LA Dojo, for one, and LA Dojo for all, for life. And thank you very much for having me on the podcast. It's the second time. Check out Bloodsport 9 coming up March 30th, Ukrainian Culture Center. Can you remind me what time that show is? It's a little earlier in the day.
4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
For life.
For life. There it is. Absolutely.
Ooh, check this out. For life. Ooh, you turn that one around. LA.
Shit.
Hell yeah. LA Dojo. For life.
I'll
work on that one. I'll get back to you. But the bones are there.
Yeah, no, 100%. We got a run-in, and this will be it. But what are some of Alex's favorite drummers? Do you apply anything you learned from music to wrestling? Which I think is a great question.
Off the top of my head, I really like Bron Daler from Mastodon. It's influenced by Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater, who was another Long Island guy. But again, I was a fan of theirs beforehand. A lot of guys. Dave Lombardo is the reason that I picked up drumsticks to begin with. That's another whole story. But yeah, a lot of the guys, mostly the thrash metal and the metal is what inspired me initially. But I play a little bit of everything, whatever's fun and whatever I can just jam and groove to. I love. I like to break it down into shuffles every now and then, but I'm not going to get too far off subject. But another shout
No,
out to
fuck.
Bernard Purdy as far as drummers go. Pretty
Oh my
Purdy.
god.
Love those shuffles, man. So fun.
Mm.
Classic.
The Pretty Shuffle. Fuck yes.
I'll jam on my leg. I can never tell who I'm annoying the shit out of because just constantly. I'm a drummer, and I spent the last 4 years not playing drums in LA, and that energy, I was always stomping my feet, tapping my hands, always playing fucking whatever, and shuffles are just something I subconsciously do on my leg while I'm just sitting down, like this whole podcast I've been tapping away. So I'm glad I have that outlet now where I can actually play drums.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I mean, what is it? Like living above the dojo doesn't afford that, right?
Yeah. Maybe don't bring your drums.
Yeah.
There's no room. And then nobody would have put up with that. They'd be like, shut the fuck up. You can't play drums. We're trying to sleep. We're tired. We just did 500 squats. Not that I would have the energy to play drums after doing 500 squats, but maybe eventually.
Yeah, no. Oh, speaking of Mike Portnoy, have you heard of the Winery Dogs?
Yes. That was one of his post-stream theater projects, right?
Yeah, that was him. What's his name? Oh God, Billy Sheehan from Mr. Big, and fuck, why am I blanking on his name? He actually used to date Brie Bella before Danielson. God, Richie Kotzen. There.
Okay.
Yeah, the 3-piece. Fucking.
Okay,
I mean,
it's probably like prog rock, prog metal.
yeah, very prog rocky. Yeah,
Cool.
But I mean, aside from
like instrumental shit.
No. Fucking.
Who sings?
Richie. Richie
okay.
on guitar and fucking singing because
cool.
He was. I mean, during the dying days of like a hair metal band, right? Like I feel like Richie was in one of them, but like the third member, twice removed and shit like that. But he's got some fucking vocals, man. So. Yeah, the
check that out a little bit more. I've heard of them. I've checked out a couple things he's done since then.
Yeah.
Was he in Chickenfoot? Was that him?
No. Chickenfoot was
that was a guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah,
it was Chad Smith,
right?
Satriani, Sammy Hagar, and Michael Anthony from Van Halen. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Hagar and Anthony. Interesting.
Yeah.
I remember what I'm thinking of as far as Portnoy. He's done a lot of shit. He was in Avenged Sevenfold for a hot minute.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Fuck, I mean, Renan's dad was in fucking Korn for a minute, you know?
That's true. Yeah.
It's fucking dope. Yeah. Great Terry Bozzio. Yes. Yeah. But he's a modern guitar god, you know, and can sing like a motherfucker. Yeah, Richie Kotzen. Hell yeah. Fuck yes. But obviously, Alex, man, it's been great. I can't wait to see you again. It goes down March 30th in LA, the Ukrainian Cultural Center in East Hollywood, right? As a part of the GCW Collective. It's Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 9 going down at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you can't be there with us, you can check it out on Fight TV as a package with the Collective or just a la carte with Bloodsport itself. So definitely check it out. But bro, plug all the shit you got. Where can we find you on the socials?
Okay, Twitter, it's at Alex Coughlin 93. Spelled like you see down here on the screen, like the word cough, L-I-N, but pronounced cog. I don't know, Irish people sometimes. You can find me on Instagram at something deadlift. Would be easier if it was the same name, but I'm too attached to it. I'm not going to change it. It's a funny name, and that's basically all I'm at on the socials. But you could check out New Japan, whatever, on Twitter and Instagram. Type in NJPW, you'll find them, and hopefully you'll find me when they book me a little bit more often. You can see my shit at NewJapanWorld.com. Type my dumb last name up in the search bar, and you'll check out all the stuff for World Tag League, all the stuff that we've been doing on Strong and in America since then. And check out Bloodsport coming up soon, like you said before. What is it, Fight.tv? Is that on it?
Yes, it is.
Fight.tv. Check it out. And the whole collective if you want to see even more varied wrestling, too.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you guys all for joining us here. And Alex, you've definitely subscribed to the podcast, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. I'd feel like an idiot if I didn't.
Absolutely.
Only stupid people wouldn't subscribe to this podcast.
Just saying.
You don't want to be stupid, do you?
Nah.
Do you?
There's some people on TikTok, but that's another story for another day. But be like Alex Coughlin, the android, and go ahead and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast. And
Hit
we
that
thank you
subscribe button wherever it is.
wherever it is. It's somewhere in
Somewhere.
here.
Yeah.
Somewhere in here. But if you don't believe me, you don't believe Alex, and I don't know why you wouldn't. Well, here's Zeta Zhang to help convince you.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe to According to Woods YouTube.